Hey, I'm going to talk about keyword search volumes today. It's Doug Cunnington here from Niche Site Project and the YouTube channel. So welcome. Good to have you on. It looks like we have a solid set of people on here already. I believe people can indeed hear me, so that's always good. But if you can't, let me know in the chat. But I think we're in good shape. I'm going to give a shout out for a few folks here. I have my kind moderators. Everyone, thank the moderators. They make this all possible. So we have Lance, we have Furhan, we have Arun and Duke. So they are holding it down in the chat room, and I appreciate it. We also have Yulette, we have Ryan, we have Tisme, we have Jane K. Thanks for sending me that email, by the way. We have Wesley. Thank you also for sending me the email. I'm going to follow up with you guys later today. Potentially, maybe we could set something up to speak next week. We have Emil as well. We have Lay Some Eggs, and I forget your name, but maybe you'll remind me and it'll stick. We have Steven as well. We have Pranay, Thomas, Band, D, Daniel. We have Charles, Sean, a good crowd, Evan, Akib, and Melissa, that's right, is Lay Some Eggs. All right, cool. And John as well. I'm going to get to it because I want to cover the topic. So I'm going to ignore the chat a little bit. My awesome moderators are going to keep it under control there. And I'm just going to talk for a few minutes here because I guess I like to hear myself talk. So keyword search volumes. I'm going to give you my own impression. And I think there's probably going to be a lot of questions about it. So I'm not going to go on my normal meandering, very long-winded explanation. I'll try and be concise so you can ask questions. And then this may spawn a lot of other videos. So a couple things to note is that these are purely my opinions, and these opinions have shifted over time. Part of it is fueled by the keyword golden ratio. And by the way, if you're unfamiliar with the keyword golden ratio, I put a link to the playlist. So don't leave right now, but check out the playlist later, and you'll get sort of like an intro to the keyword golden ratio plus some advanced information about the keyword golden ratio. If you're just joining in, thanks a lot. I am talking about the search volume. So I've given what looks to be 5 different ranges, and that should be enough to make some, smart decisions about the keywords you're going to target. Now, the thing is, I mentioned my opinion has shifted over time, and it'll probably shift again in the future. So as of right now, which is, let's see, it's March of 2018, this is what I think, and it's been this way for roughly about a year and a half. But prior to that, I went for different ranges of keywords. So let me tell you what I used to go for, because this is what, I learned from my mentors from afar when I got started in 2013. And these were people like Pat Flynn of Smart Passive Income. We have Spencer Hawes at Niche Pursuits, and it's kind of what they were doing. There were a couple other folks, but I can't remember their names. I mainly followed those two guys when I got started. And they were aiming for sort of like larger search volumes, probably in the like 5,000 local monthly searches per month, up to maybe about 10,000 or so. So I was aiming for that too. And sort of like the thought was you aim for those bigger keywords, and then maybe you have like some secondary keywords that were a fraction of that, maybe 1,000 per month at a minimum. So like we were going for fairly high search volume keywords. Now, you would naturally rank for some other keywords along the way, but like you weren't intentionally trying to rank for them. So you would write some big post for best ballpoint pen, right? Very large search volume potentially. Well, I'm just going to make it up. I have no idea what the search volume is for that. But you would just write a big post for that, maybe like 3,000 words, maybe it's 10,000 searches per month. And then you would rank for a bunch of other long tail keywords that you weren't even trying to rank for. And, back in those days, even Spencer and Pat Flynn were using, gray hat techniques and, buying links, stuff like that, link networks, things they don't do now. So that was back then, and you really wouldn't go for anything with lower search volumes. Now, as things have shifted and as I developed the keyword golden ratio, I'm starting to go for less competitive stuff. And the big value in going less competitive, and I'll get to the 5 ranges in a second. Less competitive stuff is great for either, beginners or people that want to rank with a fewer number of links, which probably is most people, right? I don't know anyone that is just like, I want to go build links. There are some people out there that are good at it, and they sort of strive to build links, but it's a rare breed. So anyway, the 5 ranges are these. Again, this is my opinion on the ranges, and it's in the description if you want to get a little bit more information and see it written down. So the very high range is what I'm calling like 9,000 and above. Local monthly searches, I'll say LMS from this point forward. And if you have questions, put them in the chat. I'll try and catch up later. So 9,000 or more. And basically, I don't even play in that range. So I have ranked a couple keywords that are in the 18 to 20,000 local monthly searches per month range, just once or twice, not too often. It took quite a few links to get there and quite a bit of content. So high quality links, high quality content, long form content, probably some social components. One of those posts actually went viral on Pinterest and had 20,000 plus shares. And believe me, they brought in quite a bit of traffic, but it took a lot of work, and the sort of risk when you put all that work into one post is if you drop just from number 1 to number 2, your traffic can go down by a lot, like 30, 40, 50%, just moving from one position, or like number 1 to number 2. So it's a big impact if there's any sort of ranking switch. So it takes a lot of work to get there, and it takes work to stay there. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not my thing. The next range, another big range, is sort of like the high range. This is a little flexible, but I'm calling it 2,500 to 9,000. So it's a big range, but those are, sort of like a higher search volume. Obviously, 2,500 to 9,000 covers a big spectrum. So of course there's some overlap, right? So these aren't hard and fast, like delineations between each of the ranges. So that's sort of high. And I would say, it's going to take you some time to rank, these days in 2018 and moving forward in 2019, 2020, it's going to take some time to rank. And I would say on the lower end of the search volume, you could probably rank sooner. I would say, potentially in 6 months, right? If you're doing the right work, if you have high quality links, high quality content, you could probably rank in the top 10 within 6 months. You could probably do it sooner if you're doing everything right and you're focusing really well. You could do it sooner. If you're on the higher end of the spectrum, the 9,000 range, it may take you a year or 18 months of dedicated effort, high quality links, high quality content to rank high. So I do think there is some difficulty level in the sort of inherently in the search volume, right? So if it's a higher search volume, it's a little harder to rank. Part of that is there's more competition because more people are going after it. The medium range is 720 to 2,500. Smaller range, and again, the same sort of rules apply as far as like being easier to rank with a lower search volume. That's kind of the sweet spot for me. Like that 720 to 2,500 is something that you could rank for a little bit sooner. You could probably, rank in the top 5 potentially in 6 months if you're doing the right things, maybe sooner if you're doing the right things well. And that's kind of the spot where I like to play. And then when you look at the low range, we're talking 250 to 720. When I started in 2013, like we wouldn't even touch anything in that range. We didn't even look. I would filter my keywords by the search volume, and I wouldn't look at anything under like 900 or 1,000 searches per month. And it was just a little different back then. You could rank sites faster. We were doing things, a gray hat way. So you could get away with a lot more back then. things were different. You could literally like rank a site within like 2 to 3 months and rank it like #1 for like a very high search term. Next is the ultra low and long tails. It's under 250, and the ultra low sort of like LMS is sort of a, an idea that I have. It's really just long tail keywords, but the keyword golden ratio comes into play. So just because you're in the ultra long tail range doesn't mean it's a KGR term, right? So you still have to do the math for the keyword golden ratio. Again, there's a link to a playlist where you can basically get a full education about the keyword golden ratio. So check that out if you're interested. And that is my opinion on the keyword ranges. If you are, if you're less experienced, I would aim towards like the low range and the ultra long tails under 250, right? Trust me, it's much better to like get on base. You're not trying to hit a home run if you're just getting started. I don't play baseball. I don't watch baseball, so I don't know why I gave a baseball analogy, but it's a thing that people do. So it's much better to like learn your skills, right? Hone your craft as you're getting started. And I know everyone thinks they're very good. I think I'm good at stuff, and I think I can outwork people, but it turns out that there's a lot of other people that are good, and people that are going after the higher ranges, like the very high range, they're probably more experienced and they probably have a bigger budget, and it's probably not their first site. So in a lot of ways, it's better if you start small, like get better at your skills, learn what you're trying to do, and then you can refine it as you go. You can always add those more difficult keywords later on, and that's what I suggest. So I'm going to head over to the chat and see what is going on. So we have quite a big crowd today. Just curious I'm just curious why we have so many. So this is amazing because the other day I only had like 25 people. We have 64 today. Potentially they are trolls, but hopefully they're just real folks. But let me know in the chat, and let me know if you are catching this on the replay. Leave a comment, like if you got the notification and stuff like that. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. So we have John, we have Isla, Michael, RK, we have Stefan, we have Pete. It's a snow day in New Jersey. Cool. You have snow days there? Man, I guess you'd be used to it, right? Alexander's on. And Neil, what's up? All right. D says, please kindly upload this valuable webinar as you have to go now. Hugely appreciated. You got it. It will be, these live streams are automatically uploaded, so you're good to go. Just look for it. It'll be the most recent one. We have Pranay asking, do we need to target more keywords apart from your main target keyword and include them in the post? Not really, right? If you just write it naturally, you should be in good shape. My friend Rob told me about a tool called like LSI Graph the other day. There's a video on like our favorite SEO tools. Check that out, Pranay. But I would write naturally, and then from there you can include some of those LSI terms if you use that tool. If not, you naturally use synonyms if you write naturally. So you should be good to go. And I usually don't try to be too formulaic around like the right number of times to use a keyword and stuff, or targeting keywords. So not really, just target the keyword that you're targeting and you should be fine. Sean says, whereabouts did you rank for the high volume keyword? The first or second page, and how much would you earn from said keywords? Okay, so the high volume, that's the 2,500 to 9,000 range. So where did you rank for the high volume keyword? Like first page, #1. How much would you earn? It's so hard to answer because like it depends on your niche. It depends on your like the product price and a number of other factors. But I could tell you that potentially the lost my train of thought. Okay. Potentially you could make, this is such a wide range. It's almost a useless answer. But if you rank #1 for like a term that's like 2,500, I would kind of expect you to at least be making like 5K a month. But you also, like, if you're on the high range and it's like an 8,000 local monthly searches, it could be 25,000 per month, right? If it's a high priced item, then you could blow it out of the water, right? So if it's a low priced item, you may be only making like $1 for each one, like it really depends, but a lot. If you rank number one for a term that's like in the medium or greater range, you're probably making a lot. And honestly, I've been getting some feedback from some people that are actually in the chat right now, and they're making multiple hundreds of dollars per month on purely ultra long tail keywords. Someone recently emailed me. They went from making very little to like over 2K a month within like 6 months or something. I may be getting the exact amount of time wrong, but like very fast, purely on keyword golden ratio terms. No backlinks, right? They just published a lot of content. So Isla says, you have a strategy of creating a big pillar post with 3,000 words and build links only to that post. All the other posts will be keyword golden ratio, so they will rank without backlinks. What do you think? That's a pretty good strategy. There are many factors involved, but I would say not all of those KGR, keyword golden ratio posts are going to rank, but a lot of them will. A lot of them will, and you will probably get a lot more traffic for roughly, I would say 15% of them than you would have imagined. So Isla, please let me know how that turns out. Hiking Gear, what's up? I am fine today, doing pretty well. Had quite a bit of coffee today, so that's good. I like that. As we see, we have Sanjay. You're making a product comparison site where you post multiple affiliate links for a single product. So should my post be like top 10 best gaming gadgets or just make a single product review? Well, I would leave it. I mean, I have to defer to your editorial prowess. It sounds like you have an idea of what you're trying to do anyway. So just, you could do that. It's a fine theory, right? If it were me, I would probably do multiple products versus like a single product review. But that's just my own style, right? And I see we have quite a few folks on, so thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. If I answer your question or if you find me at least somewhat pleasant and polite, give me a thumbs up. Would really appreciate it. Helps other people find the videos. And by the way, I'm going to give a little sneak peek. I'm planning on shooting a bunch of videos on keyword research tools. So if you do me a favor, and even in this specific video, if you just leave a comment to let me know what tool you want me to review, I'll go into it. And if you have specific questions about certain tools, that'll be great too. So I have, up until this point, kind of stayed away from like reviewing keyword research tools, but I should test more out, and I should actually be able to answer the questions that people ask me about keyword research tools more thoroughly. So let me know in the chat. And thanks a lot for joining up, folks. All right. Tisme says, Sean, you think the question would be difficult to answer, blah, blah, blah. Yep, totally. Thanks, Tisme, for saying that. And, we do our best to try and answer, but it's hard sometimes. Kendall, what's up from Arizona? You got the notification. Good to know. Thank you. Thank you. And Steven says, just because you have spiky hair doesn't make you a troll. Nice. And Austin, I'm answering questions right now. So I'm working on it. Obviously, I'm working my way through the chat. Baharat, good to have you on. Alexander tells me that you were reminded by YouTube. Cool. Other people got the notification. Toki's on. What's up? Good to have you in the productivity class, by the way. We'll be chatting soon. What's up, 10 Facts? Tisme says, I'm producing great content, so I'll continue to grow. Thank you for saying that, and I hope so. I'm getting good results so far. And actually, I just recorded a couple videos with my friend and assistant, Mackenzie. Probably going to be publishing that in the next couple weeks. So we kind of go behind the scenes and talk about working together. And all the stuff that we did. And by the way, if anyone gives me a compliment in the chat, I'll always read those out. So thanks, Tisme, for saying that. D-Card, good to have you on. Austin, what if a term gets 1,000 searches per month with only 450 pages indexed with all in title? So if you have a more specific question, let me know, but I would say that's cool. Go for it. There's many factors involved, and I believe if you're going for something in the 1,000 searches per month range, right, you should probably do some competition analysis and see what's out there, right? So it's important to check that. If you're applying the KGR, the keyword golden ratio, to that 1,000 with a 450 is 0.45, that's okay. If you have an age site, Austin, you may have some capability to rank, even though there are 450 pages out there. Thomas, what's up? You're real, not a troll. Awesome. Thanks for saying that about the keyword golden ratio. Kendall says, what does LSI stand for again? That is latent semantic indexing. And you know what? I haven't done a lot of research on why someone gave it that name, but it's just synonyms, right? I mean, am I crazy, folks? It's just synonyms, and like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why they said that. Some engineers got a hold of it. All right, Martin says, you always get a YouTube notification for live video. Best time to watch. Oh, this is the best time to watch because you're in Latvia. Cool. Awesome. Thanks for joining up. Pranay says, should external links be do follow or no follow? If they're just a regular sort of like link, they should be do follow, right? In fact, I've linked out to my competitors before. I used to not link out to like any sort of competitor, but I was like, if they have good content, why not link out to them? So I linked out to a bunch of them, and it turned out fine. So I think if it's a good resource and it's something that someone can find useful, or if you use it as a resource to write it, you may as well link out. As far as no follow, you should check out like the Google like guidelines, but if it's like a sponsored post, you should like no follow it, or a sponsored link or something like that, no follow it. And the general rules. So if you Google that, but if you're thinking you're going to get like better SEO by no following all your links, it's not going to happen. Okay. Toki says, you also love the keyword golden ratio. You have multiple keywords on the first, second page and made $23 last month. Congratulations. The site is almost 5 months old. Fantastic. Sean says that, thanks for the answer. It's that you have a site around the bottom of page 1 and the top of page 2 for a high keyword range. Okay. So the cool thing that's going to happen, Sean, as you move up, right? As you move up, it will shock you when because if you're at the bottom of page 1, you're probably not getting too much traffic. But as you move up, like if you go from like spot number 5 to spot number 2, you're going to get like 4x more traffic. If you go to like number 1 from spot number 4, I'm just making things up, it'll be like 8x more. It's very surprising how much more traffic you get. And I would say, you didn't ask the question, Sean, but if you have the opportunity to add more content to that post, you should, right? I think adding more content will be a good thing. Kendall says, how long is an ultra long keyword versus a long tail keyword? So it is purely the range, right? So, and I sort of made up the terms and started applying different things. So technically I'm saying like the long tails are like 250 to 500. I didn't list that out in the description. And the ultra long tails are like under 100, something like that. It's a little arbitrary. It's completely arbitrary. And when you like the long portion, right? Watch the video, Kendall, but the long tail doesn't refer to the number of words. It's actually like the graph. So it's the tail of the graph. So the long tail of the graph, not the number of words. Although there's a high correlation between the number of words and where it falls on the graph. So Bill says, it's off topic, but you need help with tags for your post. Do I have a video on methods for that? No, but I can tell you right now, you can just ignore them. You can completely ignore tags unless you're somehow using it to do something else. But unless you have a specific reason to use tags, you don't need to. So I don't have a video for that because it's not relevant. Barry, what's up? Good to have you on. RK, are there niches you stay away from? You found some KGR keywords for birthday gifts and made a few posts, but you can't crack the top 50. The KGR is well below 25. So a couple things. I would say what you can do, right, is just Google the term or terms in which they have like these favorable KGRs and see what ranks. If it's all like e-commerce sites or it's all like authority sites of like WebMD and Mayo Clinic, which probably wouldn't be for the birthday thing, but if it's some other big authority, all Wikipedia and New York Times and LA Times and all that stuff, then you're probably not going to be able to rank for it. So you could sort of just check by just Googling it after you found it. Sometimes Google really favors e-commerce. Next part of that, are there some niches I stay away from? Yes. Anything where there are like models coming out all the time, like new products, usually in the tech space, this happens. For example, like action cameras is an example that I've given before. So action cameras, there's always new models and new things happening. And I don't want to have to update too much stuff for just like logistical and management reasons. So I kind of stay away from that portion. That said, anything where you have to do frequent updates. Other than that, there's probably a couple others where I don't have too much interest. For example, the other day, I published this teardown for a hairdryer site. So me personally, I have low interest in a hairdryer. I'm not passionate about hairdryers. Although, maybe I should look into it. Just kidding. But if I have like zero interest, I may as well stay away because I could choose what I want to work on. So, okay. RK says big sites without keywords and titles are ranking. Okay. And let me know if you have a follow-up question on that. Mike Fincher's on. What's up? Thomas has a question. How do I handle very, very similar KGR terms? How similar is too similar for creating different posts? Here's what I think about. Think of the searcher. Think of the like person looking for it. And if it's the same kind of visitor, or sorry, the same kind of searcher, then I would combine them. And if it's a little bit different, then I would, do different posts and then see what happens. So for example, let's do like, I think I gave this example before, but let's say best electric shaver for bald heads. Something that hits a little closer to home for me. So the thing is like, it's someone who wants an electric shaver for a bald head. Now, something that could be similar, but slightly different would be like, best straight razor for bald heads. Now, that's a little scary to think about using a straight razor to shave my head, but I'm sure that's some keyword that's out there. So there's someone that is a real purist and they want to use a straight razor. That sounds insane to me. And now I'm losing my train of thought and I can't think of a good example, but if it's best electric shaver for shaving your head, I would probably combine that with the first one that I mentioned because it's someone who is bald, probably real handsome man like myself. And then it's probably someone who's looking for an electric shaver because, they use electric shaver in both of those. And then the straight razor, well, that's a different kind of searcher, right? It's someone who wants to use a straight razor, someone who's a little crazy because that sounds real dangerous. So Thomas, let me know if follow-ups. I hope that example made sense. All right. Puyush says an Ahrefs review. I'm going to write these down. So thanks, folks. KW Finder, Michelle, thank you. So KW Finder. And then we have SEO Quake. All right. I think I have a video on SEO Quake already, Bill. Give it a search on the old YouTube. And if you have questions, I could do another one. Thing is, I think my videos are getting a little bit better. Not all of them, but some of them. It's a little tighter. So Kronos says, greetings from Albania. What's up? All right, good to have you on, Kronos. You want to ask what budget you need to start from zero and get into internet marketing, from SEOs to outsourcing, and 100% for content writing. So for all that stuff, I would say budget about $1,000, and should get you through, say, the first 4 to 6 months. There's many factors involved. All right, there's many factors involved, and that would be sort of a minimum. Could you do it for cheaper? Sure. Could you do it for more expensive? Yeah, you could do like $10,000 in 6 months as well. But 1,000 would give you a little bit of leeway and should be enough to get started and then start reinvesting from there. So hopefully that's helpful. And Steven says a 90s reference. Yeah, I'm so far behind in the chat. I don't even remember what I said. All right. Okay. Anil says you have a KGR with less than 0.25, 12 all entitled results. You created a website through Google Sites 2 days ago and one blog with 350, but it's still not ranking. So I don't know what Google Sites is. You only have 350 words. How long do I think it'll take to rank? So I don't know, right? Even though you told me those details, I don't know. It's hard to say. I think 350 words is a little short. I would bump that up to, 800 or 1,000 or so, and then be patient. The other part is you should probably go ahead and publish like 10 articles, right? So if you just try one, it may or may not work. So it's pretty good, right? It's pretty good. There's people in the chat have already said they're not only ranking, but they're making money. But if you just do one and you're trying to short the content, and yes, it may not work that well. So try a little harder, be a little patient, a little more patient. Ferdinand says you watched the rounding sound site teardown on one of the large review posts. I said there was too much text on the page. Isn't that a good thing rather than pagination? Yes, it is. So perhaps I misspoke. But yeah, in general, I'd rather have just like really long form content. I usually hold true to that across the board versus, anything else. And by the way, if I answered your question or if you found this helpful, please give a thumbs up. I see we still have like 78 people on and we only have 31 likes. So if we can get it up a little higher, would really appreciate it. I know some people are in mobile, stuff like that. So if you are, maybe you can come back later and like it, leave a comment. Okay. And some people are giving some tips to Anil, share it on social media and wait. Yeah. So Anil, go watch the playlist, and I think your content's too short also. And yeah, like I said, try a little harder, wait a little longer. I mean, you said you did it 2 days ago. So yeah, just be patient. Bill says you got 3 new post titles to meet the KGR in the hopper right now. Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Let me know how it turns out. And yeah, Neil, you should be in good shape. Just keep pushing forward. Pete says KGR is legit. You had a brand new site with 10 to 15 posts and got one of them on page 1 with over 1,000 monthly searches, and another on page 2 with 27,000. Oh, wow. That's pretty good, Pete. Thank you. Kendall, awesome. Glad that helped. Alexander says, when updating your content, is there anything you recommend not doing? For example, can you change images and alt text on pics? So it's kind of a broad question. The main thing that I would avoid doing is like deleting too much, right? So I try, the sort of guideline that I give is like, if you're going to delete portions of it, make it no more than like 20 to 25%. That is arbitrary, just sort of something that I like made up. So in editing, you may delete some, but you're keeping mostly the structure the same. And when you're editing, usually you're like improving grammar, improving clarity. If you're doing, if you're going through and reading it and you're actually like trying to improve it, that's what you're aiming for. So that said, if you delete everything and like replace it, that could be bad. You could like lose rankings and have a bit of an issue on your hands. However, if you change only, a portion of it, mainly edit and add to it, and then when you're adding to it, that's great. You can just add, bunch to it, and that is super helpful. A lot of times you'll be able to rank for more keywords, you'll bring in more traffic, even if your rankings don't improve. However, your rankings could improve if you add more. Hamad says, you started your KGR journey today. Oh, that's really cool. Congratulations. Let me know how it turns out. And Jane Case says, Pete, how did you use the KGR for a term with 27,000? You thought it didn't work with terms with a high volume. Yeah. So here's the thing. It can work, but it's not really a keyword golden ratio term if it's that high. The problem is, right, if you take 27,000 and you find the 0.25, that's going to be, let me do math quickly in my head here, 28.4, that's going to be like 7,000 if I'm doing the math right. About 7,000 all-in title results. So you're still competing against 7,000 pages. It's like 6,800, something like that. Did I do the math right? Hi says, morning. What's up? Good to have you on. And as we're scrolling down, Hi says, what tool should I use to find keyword numbers? Totally up to you. It doesn't really matter. As long as you're getting, some search volumes, just use one tool. I typically recommend Keyword Keg because it's, pretty economical. But I just mentioned before you came on, Hi, that I'm going to be doing reviews on keyword research tools. So I'm going to, the ones on my list for sure, KW Finder, Longtail Pro. I'm going to look at SEMrush. Potentially I'll look at Ahrefs. That's a whole other it's a suite of tools. SEMrush is a suite of tools also, but there are certain like really cool things you can do with each of them. But there are a few other tools out there. There's a free tool called Keywords Everywhere that's pretty solid. You could do like bulk searches and just like copy and paste a bunch of keywords into the tool, and it'll spit out a CSV where you could edit and filter and sort and do whatever you need to. And and Pete mentions a cool thing. So if you do go after informational posts that are not buyers keywords, people sometimes ignore those. Those are kind of nice ones to go after. Dami says, is the keyword golden ratio location specific? Would I get the same results if you searched in the US versus India? It is specific. You would not get the same results. So you should, search locally or whatever you're targeting. Make sure you search for what you're targeting. Barry says, you've been posting on your site once a week since you started. That's very diligent. Good on you. If you were to do guest posts, that frequency would suffer as you do all the writing. Will it affect the traffic and SEO? Potentially. It'll probably improve it because you'll be getting links and that'll help your rankings, potentially a little referral traffic. But the frequency of you posting has really nothing to do with your traffic or SEO. So it'll probably move up. Mike says, the KGR is working perfectly. Awesome. Update on your situation. Currently, you're getting 418 per month, but that's only from 3 articles. You're on the first page for all 3, and each keyword had about 60 to 100 searches. Awesome. Good to hear. If it's a question that a reasonable person would ask but has no monthly search volume, would you still take time to answer it? Probably. Yes. And that was J and K. Sabir says, for a long tail keyword, I've been looking for an all-in title. It shows only 3 results, and the search volume is 170. The KGR is good, but when you search for that keyword in Google, you saw high competitor. Any tips? Give it a shot, see what happens. I'm not sure I followed your question 100%, but there's no harm in publishing it and then checking to see what happens. If it is mostly e-commerce sites, you may have a little issue, or if it's mostly like all YouTube videos or something, you may have a little issue ranking. So kind of take the guide of what Google is telling you, and then it kind of gives you an idea of what they favor. And by the way, thanks everyone for hitting the like button. Really appreciate it. We're at like 47, which is cool. I know some people just joined. So if you haven't liked the video and you find it helpful, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. All right. And if you're watching the replay, feel free to ask questions and stuff. Next, Rohit, what's up? Good to have you on. How effective are informative keywords compared to buyer's keywords at converting? At what percentage? I have no idea. It totally depends on the type of information keywords. So yeah, there's way too many factors involved, and it's not if we knew the answer to that question, it wouldn't necessarily be helpful. So there is value in having information keywords, because if you're ranking for keywords and Google likes your site, that overall that's a good thing. And if you have good calls to action on your information articles, you can get people over to your other articles, and they'll spend more time on your site. So all this stuff, like, it matters, but in an indirect way. So it's an interesting question, too many variables to answer, but even if we knew, it wouldn't really impact, I don't think, Rohit, I don't think it would impact your decision so much. RK says, with affiliate links on a blog, how do you check for sold out Amazon products? I don't. I just don't do it. I think there are some tools, like technically via the API, I think you could check that. But for me, I don't worry about it. So, and I am working my way. So appreciate the patience, everyone. And wow, we have like 85 people. This may be the largest live stream that I've done. So congratulations. We're all a part of it. Anil says, Google Sites is a free website service through Google. Okay. And what is pagination? So basically, pagination is, Furhan mentions splitting up very long content into like different pages. So you can say like, click here for page 2, and then it's like a to be continued. But I would just put it all on one page. Blue Fuse, what's on? That's other Doug. Off-topic question from Mike. Do I also get logos designed on Upwork? I don't do logos, but I would probably go to Fiverr if I was doing logos. They would probably do a pretty decent job. I would maybe get like 3 or 4 different logos if that's the thing you want to do. But I would say don't worry about that. Your logo doesn't matter. Okay, you could just put like the name of your site in a font and call it good and move on. How do you outsource content for a post? I hire someone on Upwork and then give them some guidelines and tell them what the title is, and then they write it. I have many training videos on that. So Sahil, just search for like outsourcing content and hiring content writers on the YouTube channel, and you should find like probably 10 videos on it. Sharon asks, do I use a plugin like Ultimate to nofollow? I do not. No. Ravi's on. What's up? Alexander says you liked it. Thank you for doing that. Hi. So you bought your first domain. You're in the research phase. Now you're at a point where you're scared to start as you feel like you're going in the wrong direction. Using the KGR, is that used as the article headline? Yes. You should use the KGR as the headline and sort of like err on the side of like making sense. So don't use like awkward phrasing or bad grammar. Additionally, I will tell you, it's all about expectations. Many things in life are, expectations. So we're disappointed or frustrated or upset when our expectations don't match up with like reality. And the reality is you are definitely going to make some mistakes. We all do, right? You're definitely going to make some mistakes. You want to try and make small mistakes, which allow you to, or like aim for smaller mistakes, which allow you to correct course along the way. Try not to make a major, huge mistake that you have a hard time recovering from, but don't be scared. Everyone makes mistakes. And just the key thing is when you make the mistake, don't freak out. Try and learn from your mistake and then don't do it again. I think I mentioned this the other day, failure is, people are saying like fail fast and like failure is great. And then it can be, right? But you have to take the failure and then like evaluate it later, figure out what went wrong, where it went wrong, when it went wrong, so that you can not do it again. Otherwise, it's just a failure that you didn't learn anything from. So, you will make mistakes, but don't freak out. We all made mistakes. I shared often my little timeline of my journey. And there are some low points in there. There are several low points, and they continue to happen, right? It's just different than it was. And I'm making different mistakes now. There's always room to make a mistake. But like I said, don't be scared. Just if you're using the KGR, you'll definitely be in better shape than not using it. Betty says, hi, thank you for the tutorials. You're welcome. Oh, you're just saying thanks. Well, thanks for saying that. Cool. Okay, D says, do shorter URLs rank better than long ones? Not necessarily because of the length, but if it's something that people can read more easily in like the search results, it may get a higher click-through rate because they can see what they're going to. So a shorter URL doesn't necessarily rank better, but it might. So Roshan says, is it a must have search volumes less than 250? Yes, just move forward with that. What's wrong with Google AdWord tool? Well, you know what? I don't use AdWords. So like you don't get the actual search volume anymore. They just give you like the range. So there's nothing like wrong with it. And if you're using it to run ads, I don't think you are, Sharon, but if you're using it to run ads, then it should be fine. And Roshan, just going back to your question, I mean, you're asking, is it a must to have a search volume less than 250? And then you're saying it's not working. So yeah, dial it back, follow it exactly, try that a little bit, and then, see what happens. So it definitely works. And I know we have even heard examples from the people in the chat today who have said, I've done it with multi-thousand searches, but we don't have all the data, right? The site could be older. It could be ultra low competitive. Like we don't have all the data, and every keyword is different. The keyword golden ratio works well, but it's not perfect. But you do have to follow the metrics that I give you, right? Betty says your latest site is less than 3 months old, purely KGR, and it's ranking several articles. You don't do keywords with more than 8 all in title, and this makes it super easy. That's awesome. Betty, are you making some money on it already? And Anil says, just for everyone, Google Sites and Google Site templates, you can create a good KGR small site for free, and it's very nifty. It has a lot of flexibility, but it works. Okay, cool. World Traveler says, how do you find out what number a page is ranking for? I use a tool called, what's it called? serplab.co.uk. Pretty economical. I think they have a free plan where you can rank like, or check the rankings of like a bunch of keywords. So that's what I use. And I actually have the paid version. I'm not an affiliate. I'm not affiliated with the site at all. I think I pay like $5 a month and I track everything I need to. And as we're going, Sandy says, what volume shall we target if we want fast results? The lowest volume that you could find. So even zeros. Sahil is asking for the outsourcing of content. So yeah, I think I answered it before, but yeah, just search on the channel. I've talked about that ad nauseum. Josh says, do I use the Amazon API images or stock images when using alt text? Typically, I will use like Creative Commons images, so stock images, not the API images typically. Barry says, should Amazon affiliate links be no follow? Technically, yes, but it doesn't matter. So at some time in the past, Google Google was like, hey, make affiliate links no follow. But if you read the documentation that Google publishes in like the webmaster guidelines, I think it says Google can understand what affiliate links are, so it's not an issue. So I don't usually worry about it. But technically, yeah, like if you made them no follow, but you're not in any danger to my knowledge. By the way, if anyone knows differently, let me know in the chat. Micah says your site's all over the place, number 1 to number 15. It's switching. Sounds like the Google dance. So let me know if you have an actual question there. Steven says, should the URL match the title when using the KGR? It's up to you. You could follow it exactly, or you can, take out the stop words. That's a very popular thing to do. I do both. A lot of times shorter is better in the URL, like the previous question mentioned. K3, you become addicted to buying domain names and then not doing anything with them. Sometimes you bought 2 names for one niche idea because you're not sure which to use. You need help. K3, yeah, I think we've all been there before. Best thing to do is to, make yourself a project, work on one site, just build that thing until it's making the money that you want it before you move on to the next one. Stop doing keyword research too. Most of the time we spend more time doing like the prep and the pre, and there's work to do, right? So slight digression away from keyword volumes and all that. I published a lot of videos, and I was talking to my friend Mackenzie, and basically we did a lot of work. Like we planned it out, and then we did a lot of work over the course of, I don't know, like 40 days or so. So at some point you have to stop planning, stop researching, and then do work and then evaluate afterwards. So we're like in the evaluation period for our content work that we did on YouTube. Okay, and another question about the no follow affiliate links. Yeah, you don't need to worry about it. And yeah, a lot of people are are saying they've purchased a lot of domains too. Hey, I did the same thing. We've all been there. I remember when I first bought my first domain, I think like within a week I bought like 5 others because I was like, oh, I got this Bluehost plan and I could host as many sites as I want. So I was like launching other sites and putting other themes up and blah, 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 and wasting all this time. And within a few months, I was like, what am I doing? Like I'm just distracted. It's just a pure distraction. And other people are reminding everyone to hit the like button. So we're up to 55, which is amazing. So thanks everyone. And if you haven't hit the like button, I answered your question. If I've answered your question or helped you in any way, please hit the like button. Really would appreciate it. Does a KGR work on 2 to 3,000 search volume? The answer is no, because technically, right? So since I made up the keyword golden ratio term, um, I can dictate the formula, and I try and keep it simple, right? I could do some sort of weird weighted average for search volume and put other factors, domain age, and all this other stuff. But the power is in the simplicity, and it's very aggressive. And it's aggressive so that it'll work for a wide range of sites, for different keyword search like tools, right? Keyword tools that give different volumes. It's very aggressive for a specific reason because I only wanted a small number of factors in there. So the answer is no, by definition, 2 to 3,000 is outside the range. And you could probably find exception cases. So, okay. Kronos said, so you said you need at least $1,000 to get started. So I think to buy a done for you Amazon site that costs less than 1,000. So what's better to get started from the bottom or buy a done for you? Well, I say start from the bottom, but I'm biased, right? I sell a course on starting an Amazon affiliate niche site. So that's my preference. And I like control. I think you could tell by the way I'm answering questions. There's a specific way that I am trying to do things. And I think, my way works well. However, I have some friends over at Brand Builders and at Human Proof Designs. I know both of the folks, the owners, personally. They're good guys. They do good work. They have good customer service. So I'm an affiliate for each of them. If you wanted to buy one of the sites, I would check out those two first. Now, I mean, I don't think you're going to get like a big shortcut or anything. Like there's different areas. The issue is when you buy those sites, and there's a whole video on this, a whole video on buying a done for you site. You can search for it, Kronos, and get like a longer answer. But basically, if you buy a site, you're going to have like a site that you won't necessarily know how to get traffic to. So you're still like in a spot where you need to learn things. And a lot of people do buy the site and then they end up taking the course because you need to know the background, right? They get the site started for you, but if you can't do some of these foundational basic building blocks of a site, then you may have a little bit of an issue, moving forward. And that's trouble, right? Like if you want to grow the site, you're going to have trouble with it. But I know people that have done really well with the done for you site, and usually it's after they get the course from me. But like I said, I'm biased. So, check out what Dom and Brand Builders have to say on their sites. I mean, they sell a lot of those sites. Okay. Lance says, let's say a KGR is product A versus product B, but another KGR is product A, pros and cons. Can you make the title A versus B and the pros and cons and target both with one post? I would probably make them separate. You could do it, but it may not be quite as targeted. Obviously, if you're intentionally doing like each one of those for separate articles, that's going to pan out a little bit better. It's going to be more clear. All right. And let's see. Bill says, I think maybe I missed something in here. Okay. So Micah, and I see Bill and Wakez said something, and I'm not sure if I missed an answer or something like that. Micah says, why is your page jumping from ranks number 5 and then it changes? How old's your site? I don't know why it's doing that, basically. That happens sometimes. If it's a young site, that's pretty typical. It's called the Google dance, and the rankings just jump up and down while Google's trying to figure out where it needs to go. If it's an older site, sometimes it just happens. So it's hard to say. I would say, maybe add some content to the site. Make sure it's good to that page, Micah. Duke says, sort of backs me up and says, Google is being A/B or Google is A/B testing your article. Haman says, how many articles should you post with KGR words? You watch the 200 articles video, but you don't have the money to invest. But is 20 to 30 good for starting out? Yes, 20 to 30 would be fine. That is the exact test that I did when I was researching it for the first two like iterations. I published like 20 articles a couple times and checked to see what happened. Tisme, thanks for joining. You're out of here. Anthony says, you recall making me making a suggestion of a content writing company that I mentioned in one of the videos, but you can't remember what was the company that you'd recommend. Human Proof Designs, and I'm an affiliate for them, and I can snag a link for you actually here really quick, I think. Let's see if we can do it. And as I'm looking that up, nope, I'm wrong. I can't snag it for you quickly. Yeah, so if you search for Human Proof Designs, you should be able to find them. I'd appreciate it if you use my affiliate link, but if you don't, hey, what can you do? And let's see. Neil says you'll check out the rest later and you're out of here. Thanks. Let's Chat says, how many affiliate links do you normally have per post? Okay. Here's the real question that you should have asked. By the way, asking good questions is a skill. Everyone should work on it. So it helps you like get better information. Because if I answered your question, and I'm not criticizing you specifically, here's a helpful observation. If I told you 23, right, 23 affiliate links, you're missing a very key piece of information, which is how long is the piece of content. So the real question that you should have asked is, how many links per 1,000 words do you have? That's better because it gives you a little bit more of a perspective. And the answer is about 4 to 6, something like that. Something like that. Less is better, right? So if you have the right kind of content, then you're better off. Or sorry, if you're getting the right kind of traffic, then you're better off with fewer links. So Sharon says you like the video on 1,000 days. Oh yeah, thanks. That was fun doing. Charles says, what's my estimate based on my experience of how many people actually follow through and end up with a successful site in general terms? I have no idea, man. It's probably like 0.5% or something like that. A lot of people just kind of bounce through and don't do anything. The people that are on this, it's like a high percentage, right? The people that are watching these videos and in this chat right now, it's way higher. So it makes it sound like everyone's doing great, but I know like the number of people that are like reading my blog and on my email list and watching these videos, a very small percentage actually move forward. Barry says you'd like my no BS approach. Thanks, Zach. What's up? Good to have you on. Human Proof Designs set up your site with a homepage with a lot of info and a lot of review content. You'd love to improve the content and make it a separate buyer's guide. How do you do it without screwing up your SEO for the first page? The site is 11 months old. Okay. That's a little tricky. You may have a little bit of an issue. Okay. So you may have a little bit of an issue, but I would say just move it, right? Move it to another URL. I would try, Zach, to have the the slug, the URL slug to be keyword rich. And then from the home page to link to that new URL using, a good anchor text, like a solid, pretty, maybe exact match anchor text. And then see what happens. You may have to do some additional link building to that page because presumably you have most of the links going to your homepage, and that's part of the reason why it's ranking. So you may actually, as you say, mess up your rankings a little bit, but I don't think it's like irrecoverable or non-recoverable, whatever word is the proper one. I think you can do something with it, and you may have to work with it a little bit, maybe do some more interlinking, and yeah. Okay, and Zach, you're saying you're working on a new site with the course, so you don't mind waiting for this one to heal itself and get some links later. Yeah, so I would say perfect timing to pull the Band-Aid and move forward. I haven't done this, but the reality is it probably will drop, and you will have to do some stuff to try and recover it. But from what I've seen, you should be able to do it. If you ranked before, you should be able to rank again. So Let's Chat says, do I ever link affiliate links at the bottom of an informational post? Yeah, sometimes, but you can put them wherever, right? You could put the affiliate links at the beginning if you want to. So Saeed says, thanks for the super awesome videos, and the PMP stuff is helpful. Awesome. Thank you. And what else do we have? We have 63 likes. That's pretty good. And we still have 72 people. Any other questions out there? Pretty solid live stream today. So one thing I did, and I will continue to do it because it seems like it kind of helped. I did what am I trying to say here? I put a link to this in the email that I sent out this morning for a post that I put on Niche Site Project. So that could have helped other people, realize that there was going to be something happening today at this time. And on Friday, I do a general Q&A. So hopefully, I have a few seeded questions early on, hopefully. And then I just field questions the whole time. High Flyer says, hi, Doug. What's your advice on this? You read somewhere that for search volumes more than 250, any all-in title value of 62 and below will also work because 62 corresponds to a KGR of 0.25. Yeah, it's cool. That was, this is fun, right? So I did the KGR thing. Somewhere I've actually said that in a previous video, but there's too many for me to actually figure out where that is. But yeah, so it was written by, I think, Brad from Human Proof Designs, and it was published as a guest post on Dumb Passive Income, my other friend, Matt Allen. So it's cool that they simplified it in another way. So sure, that could work, but I stick to my 250. It seems to hold pretty true. And 62 is a good guideline. They call it like the rule of 62 or something like that. But, or maybe it's 63, 62.5 technically. All right. So yeah, High Flyer, give it a shot. I'm not sure. Lisa Meg says you have a flu, but you're at home today. Oh, hope you feel better. But you're happy to be sick because you get to see me live again. Thanks for hopping on. Appreciate it. Hope you feel better. Bill says, what is anchor text in Cornerstone content? How important are they for a new site? How do you pick which posts to use for Cornerstone content? Okay. So anchor text is like the link, the text of the link on other sites or your own, and it's a hyperlink. It's the hyperlink text. They are indeed important, not so much for new sites. Cornerstone content is a term, I think, by the Yoast SEO tool. So it's just I don't know what it is. You could go look it up there. I wouldn't worry about it. So if you go read about it, it may give you more information, Bill, but I don't know. Let's Chat says, where do I recommend to get free pictures for a post? I like Creative Commons, but if you search for a video, like free pictures on my channel, like images, maybe, there's a whole video on it. So check that out. Let's Chat says, what is a slug on Yoast SEO? It's like it's the URL. And quick tip, don't ask questions about specific plugin. Like I am not good at like WordPress or plugin support, and I have a low interest in doing that. So my suggestion would be to ask me about project management stuff or like marketing stuff. You'll get better answers. And if you have a question about a plugin, just go look it up on the plugin support. So I hope that reaches everyone with respect. Not trying to be rude, but you definitely don't want me giving you tech support. So don't ask tech support questions. It'll be better for everyone. Which free theme on WordPress do I suggest? Because we need to rank only, as I don't have money to spend on themes. Any of the WordPress themes should be fine. Sharon says, can the URL be different than the KGR? Yeah, it should probably be close to it. Hammond says, what motivated me to start a niche site project? In the YouTube channel, there are so many people who would not share info you or the Income School channel shares. So I did a video on this. There's a whole thing on why I started it, but basically there was a couple reasons. One, the people I was following had blogs, right? So it's a weird thing. It's like a selection bias where, like, of course, the people we're following have a blog. Otherwise, we couldn't follow them. So I was interested in that part of it. But I was selling a product. So right off the bat, I was trying to sell a product, which, I mean, everything has been hard. I've been doing this for 4 years, which isn't even that long, but most people make it sound very easy, and everything is very hard. Trust me, like the email list, the marketing part, writing content, writing original content, doing videos, everything's hard. Going on podcasts, writing guest posts, everything takes longer than you think. But I was trying to sell a product and I was interested in getting started. And then once you do like find an area that you're sort of doing well at, you want to do it more. So that's part of it. And as far as like sharing the information, like I think it's very valuable to like share the information. And I think a question earlier, someone asked how many people actually do this, what's the success rate? A lot of people don't take the action, or they get started and they quit. So if you watch the video on the 1,000-day rule, which is super interesting, like if you can get past the first year, you're probably going to be successful. Now, the level of success could vary, and it depends on what you're aiming for and all that. But basically, if you could push past the first year, you're probably going to be all right. And Duke, thanks for the suggestion on the Astra theme. Adam says, good beer advice then. Well, soon I'm taking a trip down to the Denver area. I'm looking forward to getting a lot of the good beer there. A couple on my list that we can't get here. Now that I'm trying to think of it, I can't remember. But when I walk in like the bottle shop or the bars that I'm going to go to, I'll be overwhelmed, right? There's so many like small microbreweries and stuff like that. But yeah, shoot, I'm trying to think. I know off the top of my head, I'm probably going to bring back a handful of Belgian beers because I can't get that many of them around here. In Montana, we're like the end of the supply chain. There's only like 1 million people in the whole state. So we don't get as much beer as other places, even though Colorado is only, a couple states away. They don't send us that much beer. Sahil says, what's my strategy to promote KGR products on Web 2.0s? I have no strategy on that. John, what's up? You just logged in. And yeah, good to have you on. Any other questions about keyword research and search volumes or anything like that? Otherwise, I'm going to close it up. And by the way, we are right on the edge of, we have 69 likes. It would be, oh, you know what? I haven't liked it yet. I'm going to click it. We clicked over to 70. And by the way, if you just joined up, or if you're if you're watching the replay and you're in this like almost 75 minutes in or so, thanks for watching this long. Be sure to give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment if you have a question or anything like that. All right, cool. Any other questions? If not, I'm going to get out of here. And just to recap, the very high search volume range is 9,000 or above. The high range is what I'm calling 2,500 to 9,000. It's a big range, and there's a lot of variation in that range. The medium search volume, 720 to 2,500, that's sort of the sweet spot for me. That's what I like. We have the low competition, it's 250, or sorry, the low search volume, 250 to 720. And then we have the low search volume and the ultra long tails under 250. And then we have the subset, the classification of the keyword golden ratio in the 250 as well. So definitely check out the keyword golden ratio playlists. There's a lot of good information in those videos. Watch them at double speed. Get through it faster. John says, how do you choose when an article should be long or short? Usually based on the search volume. So the lower the search volume, Georgie's dreaming, the dog's dreaming down there, just kicking her legs. If the search volume's lower, it can be shorter, but usually my minimum is like 800 words. Daniel, thanks for hopping on. Sharon as well. Hiking Gear Lab says, when making long tail keywords, it is difficult to avoid stop words. Any advice? Don't avoid them. Don't worry about it. Use stop words. And Mike, you say great stuff. Thank you. Appreciate it. Mike says, how much do I charge for a website review? So I do consulting occasionally, not always. I want to make sure I could help you, but my hourly rate is $247 currently right now. So if you want to set something up, you can go to nichesiteproject.com/hire-me, and then you can get a little more information. And I can get more information too. So it's like I said, I only do it if I can help you. I turn more people away because a lot of times I think I can just point them in a better direction. All right. Thanks everyone for joining up. We'll catch you next time. And thanks to all the moderators again. Really appreciate it. Last question. I see Andrew says, what's the benefit of having loads of niche sites? Why don't you just put them all on one site? Sure, that's an option if you want to do that. There's no wrong or right way to do it. There are just different ways to do it. So I have a broken record, but I have a video and a whole post on what's better, like 10 or 1 site. I prefer fewer sites. So I don't have a lot of sites like that. I think that it's, I think that the overhead of starting a site is a lot. So for me, I say have fewer sites. As far as putting a bunch of content from different niches on one site, I would be cautious about that. There's some pitfalls. I see more people fail by trying to do what you mentioned, Andrew, um, because they're unfocused. They're trying to compete with like the Wirecutter or Thoroughly Reviewed or something like that. So appreciate all the support. Hopefully we'll have big turnouts like this. Enjoyed it. Everyone have a great day. We'll catch you next time. Don't forget on Friday, we got a Q&A just like this. All right. See ya.